Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. It's 2025, and this time of the year, it's a good moment to reflect on the year that's been and have a look forward to 2025. Joining me to reflect on table tennis in 2024, I've got Chico from Chico Table Tennis. So for those of you who don't know, he's a Brazilian-born, American-based table tennis coach, YouTuber, influencer, who is on a kind of mission to make table tennis more popular. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, that's perfect. So that's exactly my mission, not only here in the United States where I'm based right now, but well, everywhere that I have a chance to travel, or even Europe or whatever I go, the mission is always there. So this is my lifetime mission.
Yeah, well, it's certainly comes across your channel. The passion for table tennis, I think, is the clearest thing.
Yeah.
You talk about the professional game, but a lot of your channel is to do with people starting out. So your recent sort of series on basement table tennis players, trying to bring them out of the basement into proper table tennis, from ping pong to table tennis. So that was very interesting.
Yes, basement is very common in the United States, especially Midwest and the Northeast of United States. So it's very common. We have a lot of basement, and as I mentioned in one of the videos that I did, so I would say 1 out of 10 houses here have a table tennis tables in their basement. I think it's a huge concentration of table tennis tables, but only in recreational level, which is people use to do some exercise, but it's more like a fun game to have some entertaining than exactly the sport. So I'm trying to bring a little bit more contest for those people,
Bring
to
them out
help
of the
them
basement.
to make it maybe a transition from the ping pong basement to the table tennis Olympic sport.
Excellent. Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about table tennis in 2024 to begin with. Was table tennis in 2024 good?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. The table tennis is growing in the social media, is growing hopefully in like mainstream. We're gonna see very soon. There's some I would say it's switching a little bit the system. So we've been watching table tennis most of the time on YouTube, which is great. We have some free content to watch. So our dream is having the mainstream, but when that happens, we're gonna have to change our perspective and gonna try to invest a little bit more money and put some money paying some mainstream channel like we did this year. We are having a kind of, I don't know how to phrase this better, but it's a watershed moment I think we are having. People are having to pay some content, and this is going to bring more revenue to the table tennis. Might be a good. So I would say we are in a watershed moment for many things that happen in 2024.
Yeah, I think we'll probably come back to the topic of money in a bit, because I think it's recent developments sort of stem around the money and where it goes in table tennis. But from a playing perspective, I think it was quite a change year. So we've got a new generation of young players coming through, some of the older players moving out. What have you made of these sort of new young players coming through? Who really stood out for you on the professional scene?
Well, I'm a kind of long journey in the table tennis. I think those young players you can see right now, they are always there. The point is we couldn't see those players playing before. So we have a lot of talents in the past as well who were playing and then came slowly because we didn't have the social media, the YouTube showing, and the WTT putting the youth and showing the youth players that brought those players to the light. So I think they were always there. We just couldn't watch them. So
Yes,
I think
that's very true. I think the
whole
social
point.
media is a very important part of where table tennis is going, and it has to, because that's the world we live in now. And I have actually really enjoyed getting to know the players a bit better. I feel like we've seen players having more fun this year. We've seen Fan Dong at Taylor Swift concerts, or on his day out with Timo Boll, where he goes to the football. We've seen Felix Brunner's brother just having fun. The Harimoto's having fun. Truls Morgaard, I mean, great social media content, but having fun in the arena as well. I think that's been for me, that's been a really positive part of 2024. I feel like we've got to know the players a lot better. In the past, perhaps, and this is one issue, is that I don't speak Chinese. I'm not on Chinese social media. So the Chinese players have been a bit of a mystery to me. I don't feel like I really knew them. But this year, there's been a bit of personality out on show in the arenas as well. And WTT has made a bit of an effort to bring the Chinese players in and let the rest of the world know what they're like.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they are having fun. But again, I think they always did. But I think I will put WTT and ITTF in the plate again, because I think this is part of the big plan they have. I think WTT is doing a great job promoting the players, promoting the table tennis. I would say this is part of the great plan they have and exposing a little bit more the lifestyle of some players. And that we're going to bring more attention to the table tennis, but also more responsibility for those players as well. So like what you mentioned about the Fan Zhendong on a Taylor Swift concert and all of those players, they always have fun. But we never saw that part of their life. So again, it's important to promote the sport, but also bring more attention and more responsibility over the players' shoulders. Okay, and most of the players are in a different situation, but when it comes to China, you know, the political aspect in China is a little bit different than everywhere else. And I don't know how much it's going to impact in their players' life and their style of play, not even only playing, but also in general in their lifestyle. They might go to the streets and a little bit concerned with someone recording them and sharing those contents. They're going to bring more responsibility for them.
Yeah, I think the important part for many sports, why people really are, for example, football or soccer, as you might call it, I think the fans and the fan-player interaction is really important. And that's fans get really emotionally involved in players' lives, in the success of the players. And I think that is an important thing for table tennis as well, that we care about these players, that whether it's Truls Morgaard or Fan Zhendong, we're not just seeing a talented player out there playing great table tennis, that we care about their success and we're sort of emotionally invested in their success. I think they have done a good job at fostering that a bit over the last year.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I'm gonna push a little bit the aspect is very sensitive. So if you have a sport like you have soccer, football in the United States, baseball, main sports, major sports, and if you show that kind of lifestyle of the player, that's okay, because they are already a major sport. They are very solid as a major sport. They have huge investments, big companies, and that kind of, I could say, that kind of show, I'll say, in behind scenes of the sports and everything else, it's common, has been there since a long time ago. But when it comes to table tennis, I'm kind of aware to be very, again, sensitive, because our sport is not a solid sport yet. It's not a serious sport for 90%, 99% of the population. They don't take serious table tennis as an Olympic sport. So that's why I'm saying it's a kind of sensitive. You expose those players that way, not having a solid and a major sport and a seriousness in our sport. The people already don't take serious table tennis, and they see those kind of lifestyle, those kind of issues. They might even take less serious, that we need the serious as a sport. So it's sensitive. So this is just a point of view. I don't want to throw anything in a fan or spoil the situation. I love to watch, but at the same time, it's very sensitive because people don't take serious table tennis, and we might even get worse.
Okay, now let's look at the actual table tennis that was played. We had a Team World Championship back in, when was it, February or March in Busan, South Korea. China came out on top. We had the Olympics. What was your highlight on the table? What was your sort of takeaway from table tennis in 2024?
Well, you mentioned two major competitions, two most important competition of the year. Your Olympic Games and World Championships teams, World Championships in Busan, Korea. Those are for sure those two highlights for me. Okay, besides all controversy we are having nowadays. And I have to mention, my biggest highlight was the race of the women's team in India's women's team. That was my biggest highlight in the whole year. I was hardly criticized on YouTube and my social media, my friends. Everyone was criticizing me when I made a video talking about the only team that could really challenge the China on table tennis was going to be the Indians team, the women's team, and everyone was criticizing me. I was kind of shocked how many bad feedback that I got.
Yeah.
It was huge. So I was kind of embarrassed as well.
It's always surprising what some things get a reaction from people on YouTube and other things don't. I've posted videos before where I thought, oh, this is going to get people to react. This is going to be like, not clickbait.
Yeah.
I don't make clickbait. But then other things I thought were pretty innocuous or saying something pretty obvious. And then the comments come in and you're like, whoa. So what was it about your Indian prediction that really got people going?
I made a video exactly saying the only team that I think could challenge China in the women's team, it was going to be India. And it was the very first match at the World Championship. I was kind of shocked.
Yeah,
having
I remember
that kind of,
Sun Ying Shah lost a match, and before
lost the match.
she looked invincible.
Ahika Mukherjee.
Mm.
She lost that first match, and then I also, even Wang Banyu was struggling. Wang Banyu was a big star of the game. She saved the team, okay? And even, I think it was, if my memory is too many matches, so sometimes I think it was Shaman who played at the match. Sunny Shah, Wang Banyu, and I'm not sure if it was Shaman who played it, but the game was...
I can't remember either, I'm afraid.
I can remember as well. I have to watch again the video to remember it was the third play, but two of the best players. So Wang Banyu saved the team. So it was 3-2, and it was a big chance for India beats China.
Yeah.
And everyone was shocked just watching the game. So that was the biggest highlight for me. And everyone was criticizing when I made a prediction that it was the only team that could challenge because of their style of play. Is very unique.
Yeah.
And India is doing a great job with that style of play.
Yeah. Well, Manika Batra, she did have a victory over, I think it was Wang Manyu in the Saudi smash as well. So again, that style seems to does trouble the Chinese women. In fact, that's something else we saw from the Olympics was North Korea coming back into the fold. And then this is a prediction I've made for next year, is that Kim Kung-yong is going to be the next women's world champion. And she became Asian champion, I think it was back in October. Again, playing this kind of pimples on one side kind of style. Do you think that's where women's table tennis is going in 2025? Do you think that's going to continue to be successful? Pimples, sort of close to the table blocking sort of style? I don't know how you'd exactly describe it. I don't know if that's quite fair.
Yeah, so again, I'm going to just emphasize one thing before going to the topic about the style. So I don't think India is a new thing. They've been doing and playing that style of play since ever. The thing is, we don't have much information about the Indians. So we don't see there in mainstream. They don't have. I cannot see a YouTube channel showing much the training. There's no one. I cannot find. Maybe you have more access than me, but here in the United States, I don't see YouTubers from India showing table tennis. I don't see coaches. I don't see they're promoting their sport. I don't know why. I don't know what are the reasons, but we don't see much the Indian style of play like we see the Chinese, like we see the European.
They've got India's got this new league that they've had the last couple of years. Seems to be best of 3 matches.
But there's only 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks of league. That's very short.
Yeah, very true.
So there's too many things happening in a huge country like India. So over 1 billion people.
Yeah.
And I know by the fact I have some Indian students, there are a lot of people playing in India. There are a lot. Yeah. They are packed. They are totally packed on table tennis in India. Very short space. We can talk about this another time. But we don't see those players very often. Like we don't see this in North Korea. So when they come to play, what happened is exactly what happened to India and China on the World Championship in Busan. They don't play very often against each other. Maybe only Manika Batra is in a WTT circuit, but the other players aren't. So because you don't play very often, by the time they play for the first and second time, you don't know what you expect. You know that those things on table tennis happen very often.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things.
Do you see that India being a major powerhouse within the next 2 or 3 years?
For sure. The next, I would go a little bit further. I would say in the next 5 years, we're gonna see India growing a little bit more their style play, but in the same time, we see China changing their style of practice, focus a little bit more on the women's side because they are losing some space over there. And I think China also is very focused on learning and teaching those players to play against those unorthodox styles.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing China's always been good at is some new invention comes from elsewhere in the world, they'll learn about it, or a new player, they'll learn about it pretty quick.
Yeah, I can go a little deeper, Ash, and if you allow me, I've been talking a lot.
No, do it.
It's not about learning to play against those style plays. This is so. I don't know exactly how long you are in table tennis, but it's a kind of gender issue we have since ever. Women, I'm sorry for every woman who is watching this interview and everything else. I'm not being, please don't misunderstand. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being like a sexist, but the women always been struggling with the Spain on table tennis, and that was the point I think the India is pounding. Try to bring that complexity to the game, putting the long pips, no sponge, and a backhand side, try to complicate it because the pips complicate a lot the Spain and the game. So in terms of physics, sometimes the Spain reverses, sometimes it doesn't. We never know exactly what's going to happen. We have a basic idea in physics what's going to happen when the player blocks with that kind of pips. But every single motion on table tennis counts, and every single millimeter, every single degree in the angle might change the spin, might reverse the spin, might switch the spin. It's very complicated. And women always been struggling since ever. I've been coaching for over 30 years. And all little girl that I have, and then even high-level players, they always been struggling with some spin on table tennis. And that was the reason the women have always a tendency to play with pips.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking from personal experience, I hate playing against pips, but I'm pretty low level. You're talking about good players. I'm just a local league player, but yeah, it's interesting that could bring some success in maybe sort of the next couple of years. I don't know. Kim Kung-yong is North Korean player who's got this style, and again, no one's really been able to practice against her either because she's not on the tour, and I don't know, maybe a contender for next year's World Championships. So that was 2024. Anything else you want to say about 2024, the Olympics?
Well,
were they good? Were the table tennis in the Olympics good?
We have a lot of things to talk. So besides the Busan, Korea, that was the highlight. So the Olympic Games, for sure, the biggest highlight, it wasn't the finals. The biggest highlight, it was the problem with the Wan Chuqin.
Yes.
I can say problem because I don't like criticizing because I don't like to judge, but there was pretty clear there's something psychological in Wan Chuqin life. His life is a little bit more, I would say it's a little bit unbalanced in general, not right now, it's since ever. Wan Chuqin always have that kind of temper, even when he wasn't the number one in the world. He was not the team A, he was team B in China, he was playing some minor tournaments. He always had the kind of temper. He was punished before. So I would say I don't know how to phrase this, but the temper is a kind of bomb. He can play amazingly and beat someone very easily, but a little thing might flip his mindset. He might totally lost the temper and totally get compromised in his psychological. That was the biggest highlight. Nobody was expecting what happened. So
yeah, I mean,
and this is something also that is a kind of psychological issue. There might be work. We have to work on their practice, and the clubs and the coaches have to work on that at some level. So, but coaches also doesn't have 100% control of the player.
Yeah, I think one highlight for me over the last year has been sort of rising slightly more unorthodox styles of play. I'm thinking Truls, the LeBron brothers. They have slightly deviated from the Chinese model. There's a lot more sort of creativity in their shots play, and it's having some success. I don't know whether you agree with that. You think that might be something that's going to continue, or do you think it's just slightly an abnormality this year that maybe Truls has had success, but people aren't generally going to copy that kind of choppy? I don't even know how you describe his backhand. It's not a classic Chinese style Fan Jian Dong backhand at all.
Yeah, so you're right. So it's fun to watch. It's a very creative style play. So different style of hit the ball. But when you say new style, I have to take back to my old years when I start playing table tennis. That style is always there, Ash. So
Yeah.
we always
Okay.
we always
Maybe
saw.
when I say new, I mean I think over the last, forget that maybe the last 2 years, but before that, before these Truls and the LeBron brothers, there was a kind of tendency to believe that that kind of style is old-fashioned. It's not going to be effective. If you want to
Correct.
beat China, you've got to play like China. Do you think that that's been broken a bit?
A little bit. So I think that Chinese table tennis players are machines. They have a
Yeah.
tendency to repeat until they find a way to not miss the balls. They have a very good consistency because the amount of practice, the technology they have of training is very good. But they are, in my understanding, they are machines. They are perfect machines. But the standard they set is very classic. So they don't orthodox of style play. They seek for the perfect motion to activate their body to do the most power, most spin as possible. But it's very predictable and very repetitive. So the Europeans and some Asian players, they found a way to break that consistency, not facing the Chinese power, Chinese pain, not clashing, I would say. So if you try to beat Fan Jiandong in a counter drive, top spin drive, top spin drive, you're never gonna beat him. So you like my old mentor said. So if you wanna challenge a Chinese player with testosterone, I have more power, I have more spin, I have everything better than you. I'm stronger. You're never gonna beat a Chinese player because they are machines. But if you break the rhythm with something different, like Truls Moregard, LeBron, even Coquinho, a few years ago was doing. So some players, like also the French players, like Stefan Dor. So there's a few players there putting some creativity on the game, doing something to break the rhythm of play of the Chinese. Even I saw a few years ago, I have to highlight this match. It was a Fan Jiandong play with Simon Gauzy. And Simon Gauzy was playing very, very smart, not getting to those rallies with Fan Jiandong. He was doing one or two shots, and the third shot, he was doing soft block, and they'll break the rhythm and takes the Chinese from the comfortable zones, like the Truls Moregard does all the time. Felix Lebrun, Alexis Lebrun, all of those players, they figured out the way of beating the Chinese or challenging them. Beating is a different story, but challenging the Chinese is breaking the rhythm and doing something unexpected. You're totally right. Okay, it's a perfect way. But when it comes to Chinese players and the best players in the world, not only Chinese, the best players in the world, they have the great minds in the world. And the first time or the second time, you might trick them, but the third time, forget it. They're gonna adapt.
You're
And this
probably
is
right.
table tennis once or twice, and that's why I emphasize it for the first time. The first time the Chinese players play against any player in the world, they struggle. There's more highlights to talk. There's some very talented players that are doing this, that, but it's once or twice. On the third time, the Chinese always have the match totally mapped.
Well, you made a video asking what's happening with Chinese table tennis. This was after Wang Chuqin at, I can't remember which tournament, but he'd lost again. He'd been on a series of defeats to players you would expect him 6 months ago to have easily breezed past. And there was one or two Chinese players on a break. As always with table tennis, you can't ignore China. So where is China going right now with table tennis, especially following the news that Fan Jiandong, Ma Long, and Chun Meng have all retired officially, but in the very least removed themselves from the world table tennis rankings and are seemingly taking a break from the international scene. So, well, first of all, what do you make of those retirements, and what does it mean for table tennis in China over the next year?
Yeah, I wouldn't say China. When you say China is struggling, I can having a coach mindset. I can tell. I don't think they are struggling. I think in a stage of learning, in a transition on table tennis, they are adapting themselves to the new style of plays, more competitions. The calendar is getting crazy for every player. They are getting injured very often. So all of those factors, plus the fact of the equipment is changing, the rules are changing a little bit. The serve is you might have some change in the future with the serve. There are some rules coming, I think. Now we have the camera review. That's going to add a lot of more complexity to the game. I think China is ahead of the rest of the world learning to play with these new rules. And this is a transition time, I would say. It's a very important year. I cannot say that I don't believe that China is experimenting with these major competitions. That they were caught surprised with the facts that happened in the Olympic Games and Busan, Korea. They got them a little bit surprised, I would say. Forgive me. I'm sorry. But I think it's a transition period for them. So the table tennis is changing in general. So we have many things happening. Again, a lot of competitions. The calendar is crazy. Youth competition, WTT competition, Master, Grand Smash. So the huge amount of competition we are having right now, I think China is in transition to adapt themselves and figure out who are the best players and which competition are they going to focus. And I don't believe China will gonna. I would say they are going to continue dominating the world for a long period of time yet. But the world also is learning from them a lot. So we are getting closer to the Chinese because we are having more exchange of information. So the information always being kept in secret in China, how they training, how they practice, what they do, and everything else. Now, because WTT and the YouTube, social media, people are sharing more content, so we are having a chance to watch more the Chinese and learn from them more. They are ahead of us, but we are learning more because of all the competitions we are having. So players are learning to play against them.
What did you make of Fan Zhendong's retirement, Chen Meng's retirement, and now supposedly Ma Long as well? What have you made of it? Do you think they've talked about how WTT can fine them for not competing in competitions, and Quadri Aruna got fined last year for not doing that, which he is contesting. What do you think the implications of that specifically are? Not necessarily for China, but for all players competing in world table tennis. Do you think this is the last we're going to hear of it, or do you think there's going to be, I don't know, player riots, player strikes? Do you think that's going to happen?
It might be too little earlier to make this kind of prediction and make this statement. But I still think the WTT you're gonna change their rules. You're gonna bring them back. So I don't think Fan Zhendong is retired. I don't think Shaman is going to get retired. I really believe the WTT, the ITF are gonna review. We're gonna change their rule. We're gonna bring them back. Not only because they are the best players and the two Olympic champions right now, current Olympic champions. Not only because of that fact, but also because the table tennis need them playing. We need Fan Zhendong, we need Shaman, bringing more attention to the table tennis. You cannot ban the two Olympic champions of some of the best players in the world because of that kind of rule. WTT might not like what I'm going to say. I think that the amount of competition, the exposure of the players, the huge effort the players are doing, playing that many tournaments. So we're gonna putting their body in risk. So in their level play, in world level play, world class level of play, you have risk of injury every single minute. So your body is in the limit. And table tennis is in the limit of the body. I don't know how much the human body can improve, can sustain this extreme level of power or energy you expand player. Olympic level, to reach Olympic level, to reach world-class level, you have to expose your body to many risks. And that level of play is, unfortunately, we have to say, is not healthy.
No.
Yeah.
No, and combine that with not only the physical, but the mental side of it as well. They could be away from home for 6-9 months of the year. And especially when some of them are getting beyond 25, 30, they've got families to look after, families growing up, and they're going to be missing out on that. So it's probably table tennis, perhaps as much as any other sport, players are away from home a lot. I look at the Harimotos, for example. These are kids that have grown up probably most of the year outside of Japan. I don't know how many months a year they're abroad, but that's got to take some, not only physical toll, just the sheer amount of table tennis, but psychological toll has got to be pretty huge. So I hope BTT is sort of aware of the mental toll that can be taken on them.
Yeah, that's what I think they're going to reveal, that rule. But also, so WTT is going to have to review that and understand the player cannot play that amount of tournaments and be healthy and sustain their level of play. So I don't have the numbers, but I think Fanjanong played a lot last year. He was injured. He took a break for a few months because his shoulder was totally off. And I even mentioned, because I thought he wasn't going to play the Busan Korea because of his injured. He was seriously injured. So he got worse. And there's a match he withdraw, play Lin Shindong. He quit the match. It was 2-2. In the fifth match, he quit because he couldn't handle the pain on his shoulder. So for the health of the players and for the sake of table tennis, I think WTT should review the rule. But it's not only their responsibility to change the rules, so to expose those players to many competition, but every country, you're going to have to decide what competition are going to be the most important goals. Is it part of the coaching plan to figure out what are the most important competitions you have to play? When you are playing the competition like WTT, you're obligated to play every single event. That makes it too hard for the player.
Okay, well, looking ahead to 2025, the question I'm going to ask is, what do you hope from table tennis in 2025? This can be personal or it can be from professional table tennis. What do you hope for?
Well, I hope we have a watershed on table tennis, and we have a major sponsor like Nike, Adidas, and a big companies coming to the table tennis and helping the clubs, helping the teams, helping the players, providing more support for them to reach better level play. Not only in world class level and Olympic level, but we need more focus on the foundation of the table tennis. That's what we need most. So China already have that. Forget China. China is exception in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. China already have a huge structure for table tennis, like we have in soccer in Brazil, like we have in football in North America, like United States. We have a huge structure. So major sports, they have already a natural path for every single kid who starts playing soccer in Brazil. They know where they're going every single step of the way. We need China also have for this on table tennis, but it's the only country we have that kind of organization, I would say, and structure and system. Or they have the kid starts like I don't know which age, and every time is getting younger and younger. I've been seeing like a 1.5, 2 years old kid hitting the ball like a crazy now in some videos on YouTube. I'm not sure if they really have the 2 years or 3 years old. I have questions. They're controversial, but we need big sponsors. We need big companies investing on the foundation of the table tennis, and we need more respect for the coaches. Yeah, that's a huge fact, and that's, I think, the most important point in all of the process from the future of the table tennis is respecting more the coaches in general. So I don't see anymore the table tennis courses that ITTF used to do to teach the coach or players or people who wants to become a coach. We don't see that anymore. So people don't respect the coaches anymore. Huge disrespect for the coaches in whole world. We have a very small amount of coaches, and they are not respected. They are not. I hope 2024 we have more respect for every single table tennis coach in the world. If we don't have coaches, there's no multipliers. No multipliers, no foundation, no base. No base, we're gonna fall apart, because you cannot depend only on 20 or 100 top players in the world to build the sport. They don't build the sport. Top players, they play their game. They are there to bring attention to the game, but the ones who are building the sport are teachers and coaches.
Yeah, there needs to be the opportunities to actually physically play table tennis at the local level.
Exactly. Yeah. We need more clubs. We need more coaches focused on the foundation of the table tennis all over the world. Some places like China, they have already. I can mention Brazil because I have experience. I came from a big project in Brazil called Table Tennis on the Schools, where the Brazilian Federation put table tennis tables in 90% of the schools in Brazil. This was 1990, so it's like 30 years ago or 40 years ago. something like that. Over 30 years ago, we started that big project, bringing the table tennis to the schools, teaching coaches how to coach, the basic foundation. And that was a big project. And Brazil has a great foundation on table tennis because they invested over 30 years ago in this situation. We need that in, especially, I would say, I keep saying that in my videos, especially in the United States, we need that because this is the biggest economy in the world. If we can have a major sport, if we can have a major sponsor in the United States investing in foundation, I'm sure we're going to be totally watershed for the whole world. When they see the biggest economy in the world investing huge amount of money in a foundation, teaching kids how to play table tennis because the kids are the future, I think that will be the watershed. And
Absolutely. Okay. 2025, on one of the points you made that I would love to see Nike or Adidas. I know Adidas did briefly dabble in table tennis, I don't know, 15 years ago, but to do it properly, because that is one thing about table tennis, the equipment, the clothing, there's all table tennis specific brands, and maybe that would sort of encourage people outside of the sport to notice it, to take it seriously as well. I think, so 2025, I'm quite optimistic about table tennis. I think as a sport, it is being taken more seriously. I think just looking at my local area, the clubs around me, I recently went to a rival club. I was playing a match there, and they had, I've played there a few times. A few years ago, it was just like 4 people in this massive hall playing table tennis. I went there the other week, and there was probably 50 people in there playing table tennis, all ages. Probably the youngest in there is probably 8 or 9, and then the oldest is probably, I don't know, in their 80s. And I've seen a similar growth in a couple of other clubs locally. In my club, the numbers have grown as well. I think table tennis is being taken more seriously, and I think that's going to continue to grow in 2025. I think what's great about table tennis is that people of all ages can still play it. Obviously, it does help to be young and athletic, especially if you're looking at the elite levels. But I think table tennis is in a sort of unique position of all sports that it is really probably more open to all ages, and they can get something different out of it at different ages as well.
I agree with you. So I agree we are in a unique position to have a big growth in 2025. And also you have to put in the plate that we have some aspect. The Olympic Games was a big thing, especially in Europe. France did a great job with the Olympic Games. So I think you're right. There's a unique opportunity to grow even more. We just have to continue doing the right things that Europe is doing. So exposing their players. The YouTube is helping a lot. I love the YouTube because it's exposing more the table tennis, bring more information. And I'm gonna emphasize again, if you know how to capitalize this growing, like having. So you said, as you said, you have more people playing table tennis in your clubs, and you can see more table tennis players and everything else. People are searching and going more to the clubs and trying to learn and understand more about the table tennis. But who is going to keep those people over there and continue providing information from them? Do you have coaches? Do you have teachers?
No coaches within our club, actually.
Sorry?
We don't have any coaches within our club.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. At some point, when you come to the club and you go to open play and you meet some people, you start playing table tennis, at some point, the natural process of human beings start to evolve. You want to learn more, you want to improve. Then who is going to provide that service? Who is going to provide that information? If you don't have a person who can capitalize and bring those people together and create a system that keep those people playing, those kids playing, those people coming to the club, okay, every day to learn something and provide information, providing knowledge, transferring knowledge, do you think it's sustainable? That's the point.
Well, I'm optimistic. I think.
Yeah, well, yes, for sure.
I think from what I've personally seen in table tennis, just in my local area, it's a sort of semi-rural area. We're far out in the far west of the United Kingdom, and I can't speak for the rest of the country, but just going on what I see on YouTube, I see so many active people just filming their local clubs, filming their matches at whatever level. It could be really sort of semi-pro level, or it could be really, really amateur level. And some of these videos are getting loads of views, no matter the quality of the table tennis.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. I think at least that's the sense I'm getting. I could be completely wrong, but the feeling I get is at least within my local areas, it's really positive.
You're totally right. So I agree 100% with you. So I think it is a very important year, very optimistic year for all of us. Olympic Games, all of the tournaments we are having, WTT, ITTF, and everyone else is having more events. We just have to take the chance and capitalize that thing. I can make an analogy, like, for example, like sometimes in every country, you have like a unique talent in certain sports. Now I'm going to mention Brazil again because of my huge experience in Brazil. But we had, for a certain period of time, we have like Gustavo Kuerten, which won the Wimbledon for 3 times, was a huge number 1 award, and was a huge change in Brazil in the way they were seeing tennis and everything else. But we struggle having coaches and it was a very, very tough sport, very expensive sport. So what happened? We couldn't capitalize. We don't have a great school of tennis in Brazil.
But I think this is where table tennis has the edge on tennis.
Right.
Is it the amount of space you need for tennis compared to the amount of space you need for table tennis?
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, equipment is generally cheaper in table tennis. Obviously, you can spend as much as you want in table tennis. If you want a gold carbon fiber bat, you can spend thousands if you want to. But if you put it in dollars, maybe $50, you could get a bat that you can improve with and play good table tennis with. So I think table tennis does have an advantage there over most other sports.
I'm sure it has. We've been working this kind of we've been using that say since ever. So like in a tennis court, you can put like a 50 table tennis tables, and you have people. You have 100 people more playing. So you're right. So I'm just concerned. I'm raising the point. We have to have people able to capitalize that growing and use that in advantage, because we have a huge advantage of many sports, but also we have a disadvantage of being the most complex of those sports.
Yeah.
So in recreational level, we have a huge amount of players, but in certain level of play, it becomes complex. When the people is trying to really learn table tennis and play table tennis, when they get the best equipment, for the first time, the professional equipment, they struggle to understand the spin and everything else. Again, we have a huge advantage because we can put a lot of tables in a small space. It's easy to start, but it's hard to continue. And again, people to capitalize that thing, that optimism, capitalize the moment that France and Europe and all the world is having with exposure of table tennis. We need people to able to capitalize and bring those people and create systems and everything else to continue growing, sustainable growing. So in my over 40 years playing and coaching, I saw many ups and downs. Some countries, and they have like a Lebrun, like in the past, they used to have Gatian, Sheila, Eloy. So in the past, like England has Liam Pitchford and Paul Drinkle, all of those players. We have to learn from that experience and capitalize more to keep bringing more people. So Brazil has Calderano, but who is going to replace it? So Pitchford, Drinkle, who is going to replace them? You tell me. You know better Europe than me.
I think what's different this time is the media around table tennis. When I was young, first getting into table tennis, YouTube was just about a thing, but there was almost no table tennis content on there. There was almost nowhere I could watch table tennis. The only place I heard about specific table tennis players was you could buy a T-Mobile table tennis racket made by Butterfly for £30 or something like that. I was like, who's this T-Mobile? He must be good, but I'd never seen him play. There was nowhere I could watch him. Not on maybe the Olympics was the only time we could watch table tennis. And of course, that's only once every 4 years. But I think the difference is now that if you are interested in table tennis, there is just so much content online that you can get into. There's online communities. I think that's what's different this time. And that might help table tennis stick. Whereas in the past, there's been phases, there's been miniature crazes at times, and then it dies down as people forget. So I think it is different this time. But again, you've been through more ups and downs than I have.
You're right, Gayash. So So we are always optimistic. We know that the huge changing, and it's going to continue growing. There are more platforms coming for the social media. The X are coming now with the former Twitter. They are coming with the same platform, being a competitor for YouTube. There's many platforms coming. There are more changing coming in the future with Web3 as well. There are different platforms. We're still in pilot test. We're going to see growing every time and more. We're going to have more content. Okay? More content. And you're right. We have to be optimistic. We have a different moment. And you also right in when you were young, and also when I was young, the only way to learn, it was going to the club. There wasn't any other way. And we have some books, we have some people, we have some coaches, but we didn't have any contact. You have once in a while a VHS.
Yeah. We've come up to an hour now, so I won't take up too much of your time. So I'm
okay.
A couple sort of quick fire questions. World Championships in Doha in May. Who is the next women's and men's world champion?
Hard question. So hard question because nobody is really being exposed nowadays.
I'm going to ask you to put your neck on the line. Who are going to be the next world champions? Who's going to be on the Wikipedia list?
Okay.
Etched in history on Wikipedia.
Oh my gosh. So this is tough. But I'm still going to bet in... It's still raising. It's not solid game yet. But I would say Lin Qingdong. If Fan Zhendong is not playing, I would say Lin Qingdong. If Fan Zhendong is playing, Fan Zhendong also gonna be the world champion again. I would love to say Wang Chuqin, but I don't think he has the stability, emotional stability to be a world champion yet. And it's hard to say again. I don't think he will ever gonna have the maturity to be a world champion in the men's side. I would say Lin Qingdong. China is still dominating the table tennis. Lin Qingdong is coming very strong every time. He's only 17, 18 years old, very young. A lot of things to improve yet and learn. He's going to get very strong and solid. He's a solid player already, okay, with some ups and downs, but he is a great name to be the next world champion if Fan Zhendong isn't playing, okay? Of course, European players are always surprised. South American players, you can find another Asian player like from Korea, from Japan, that might be a little bit can upset some of them, but World Championship's a different animal. I think that China invests a lot in World Championship, and when they play, they really play. They don't have any fun. It's 100% work. So,
getting the job done. That's what they do. They get the work done.
Well,
on the women's side,
you can beat a Chinese in any minor tournament. But in a World Championship, in Olympic Games, I'm sorry, your chances are very, very, very low, almost none. So Lin Qingdong, if Fan Zhendong isn't playing. If Fan Zhendong is playing, he's still the name to be the next world champion again. In the women's side, top again. So I gotta put China in the spot because they are the best for sure. And I'm gonna say again, Sumi Shah is number one in the world, I think. I'm not sure if Shamang surpassed her. She has a great potential, but still not ready. I don't think she's mature enough. Shanman is ready. And there's some new names in China. I think Wang Manyu is in a good moment. She's in a very good moment.
Chunmeng officially has retired.
Officially, but
it's still
early. It's too fresh. The information is too hot. The potato is too hot.
I like to make these like far ahead predictions. This is what I did last year when I started this channel on the 31st of December 2023. I just came in with my Olympic predictions back then. So
did you name it?
No, I didn't. I got Fan Zhendong right, but the women's I thought Sun Ying-Sha was going to win. So I did get it wrong.
She's not ready yet. I would say she needs at least one more year, maybe the next cycle. Next year, she's still not going to be the world champion. I think it's still going to be if Shaman plays, and I think. This is my biggest prediction. I think the ITTF and WTT are going to reveal, and Shaman is still going to play, and Fan Zhendong is going to play. And if they play, they are the world champions. Okay. If they don't play, the plan B is Lin Qingdong, and I would say Wang Manyu.
Okay. No, that's good predictions. Again, I've got to make my predictions. I think if you're right and ITTF, WTT changes the rules and Chunmeng and Fan Zhendong are back, I would say Fan Zhendong, world champion. I would love it to be somebody else. Fan Felix de Bruyne. I would love it. I just love to watch him play. But realistically, I think it's going to be a Chinese man who's going to win. I'm going to say Wang Chuqin, providing Fan Zhendong is not back, will be our next world champion. But, like you say, he is volatile. But he did, at the end of the season, he did win the DT end of year tournament, the Champions Tournament. So I'm going to go with Wang Chuqin as our next men's world champion. Women's, I've already predicted it. I did it back in November, I think. Kim Kum-yong from North Korea. I think Sun Ying-sha seems to really struggle against that kind of player. Again, anything can happen. It depends on the draw. I think Kim Kum-yong is almost more vulnerable to, let's say, like an Indian player, for example. But yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Kim Kum-yong is our next women's world champion.
Yeah, and okay, now I'm going to put you in a question, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Who do you think can be the greatest upsetter? I would say we got a great surprise with last year. I would say Cruz Moregard was a great surprise in Olympic Games.
Yes.
Okay? He played his best. He gets, I would say it was a combination of a little luck playing against Wang Chuqin with that situation. Okay, having psychological effect. But he was the biggest name Olympic Games, I think. Great name. Who is going to be the surprise for 2025, in your opinion?
So earlier in 2024, I made a video about Harimoto, just asking the question about where he is in his career. After that, he did have quite a successful year. And at the Olympics, he was the closest to beating Fan Zhendong. And let's say Fan Zhendong is not playing next year. I think Harimoto is possibly in the best position to maybe win the World Championship. I think if I was going to put money on it, I would probably say hold off, put your money on a Chinese player. But I think Harimoto, this could be his breakout year. He seems a bit more relaxed lately. Early in his career, there's a lot of shouting, a lot of wasted energy, and he's still got some of that shouty energy as well, but he seems a bit more relaxed. He seems a lot more smiley at the table, and I think that's good for him because he needs to sometimes just rein it in a little and think about where he is in the match, be a bit more present. So yeah, I think Tomokazu Harimoto might be the one.
Okay, you saying he is more mature right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so
at least that's the impression I got. The sort of second half of the year. First half of the year was when I made that video and sort of asked the question about where is he in his career. He sort of just about dropped out of the top 10. That kind of energy he had when he was 14, 15, scaring the Chinese players had sort of gone. He was just a good top 20 player at that stage. But the second half of the year, that kind of dangerous element to his game, threatening element, is back, but with a smile on his face.
Yeah, so I'm going to make an analysis of what you said. So Harimoto came very young, put a lot of pressure in the whole world because he was taking a lot of risk. A young kid, he's nothing to lose. So he was taking a lot of risk, taking every single chance he got. And this is human. It's a biological. When he got the teenager years, so the hormones get weird. So you get a lot of power from your hormones. That's what the stage he was. And now that stage is gone. He's getting more mature, more
He's a
centered.
man now.
Exactly, more centered. So a little kid taking every single risk he could, okay, with a unique style of play. He put a lot of pressure, different style of play than usual. And then in the teenage years, it was a kind of oscillation on his temper, mood, and everything else. His teenage years, you have a lot of hormones on your blood. Now, as a man, he's more stable. Now he's coming back. You're right. He can be a great name in 2025. And I agree with you. So it's always amazing to watch him play.
Yeah. And I'm wondering whether having his sister on the tour as well, sort of taking a bit of pressure off him and also allowed him to reflect on his own career. He's kind of witnessing somebody almost mirroring his own career coming through really, really young as well. So that's probably helped him mature as well. At least that's what I hope.
Yeah. We have many other names to talk, many things to talk. So
we
didn't talk about the youth and some huge upset we have. There are big young names coming. Oh, and I would like to highlight, if you allow me. So the big name, I think 2025, you're gonna really see consolidating his position as a top player. Still young, 15 years old, but Benjamin Farahi, the
Yes, a young
kid,
Iranian player.
yeah, the kid put a lot of pressure over China, beating Wan Chuqin.
Yeah.
He
He
almost
almost
beat
beat Lin
Lin
Shidong as
Xindong.
well.
Almost, he beat Lin Xindong. He almost beat Lin Xindong. It was 3-2. It was a very tough game, very tight game. So that kid is a super talent. Of course, there are much more many players in the circuit, even in the youth circuit from Chinese youth players. So there's a Korean player, if I'm not wrong, Lee Sang-soo is a young Korean as well. There are some kids, they are the same level of play, but Benjamin has a different and unique talent. It's more, on table tennis, you have very specific, very simple style, very unique, and mechanic doesn't change. But something unique like Truls Moregard has. So Coquinho used to have some unique shots. Benjamin has also that kind of surprise element once in a while that put pressure of the Chinese style play. I think he will be a big name in the youth among
Yeah.
some Chinese players and Korean players too.
Yeah, I'd certainly like to. I think it's important for table tennis to have players from new nations be on the world scene. Again, I imagine if he continues developing, Benjamin does, in Iran, he's going to become, if he's not already, probably a huge star. And Iran obviously has got the Alamian brothers, I think it is.
Yeah,
So they've already got some good pros on the scene, but
and
yeah,
very
they could have
unique
a
style play
superstar.
too.
Say that again?
The very unique style play.
They do,
So when you
yes.
have Lamia, the back he plays only take backhand most of the time, 90% of the time. So they have something different, okay, something unique that can surprise the Chinese style play, the standard. They can challenge the standard style play, and China is the one setting the standard. So,
Yeah.
but those unique shots, unique skills might challenge the Chinese players. So Benjamin Farahi, like Hannah Guda in the women's side. So challenge like Monica Batra, Rija Kula. The India is a unique case, okay, because they also struggle with their economy, their system. There are too many things to talk, too many things
Yeah.
that we can, too many factors to put in the table, too many variables. But those two names, so prove that table tennis has some beauty in the game as well. Not only the standard style play and the perfect style play of Fan Jiandong, Malong, and the China. We can see some unique like Liam Pitchford as well. Tom Jarvis is a good player as well. I've been following him. He was here for a while. We did those things, and we hope to have more surprises to upset the Chinese because that makes more fun the table tennis.
Yes, I think so. I mean, China's always going to be there or thereabouts, but yeah, some
Oh, for sure,
surprises would be nice.
for sure, for sure. He's always is. I always supported the underdog.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
except if one is my counter play, when it's counter auto play, I have no chance. I have to support him. But when it comes to any top player in the world, I always support the underdog because we love to see some upsets. So, and I hope to continue watching that. So I hope to continue see those kind of things. This is the beauty of the table tennis. But table
Yeah.
tennis is a very complex sport, and we need people like you promoting the sport. We have more people providing good content on YouTube, bring discussions. And I hope as well for 2025 and change a little bit the rules to make the table tennis a little bit more attractive in general, to make more understandable.
Yeah. Okay.
It's complex.
It is. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I think we've covered quite a lot there. We could have gone into so many directions.
Yes.
That's table tennis is massive. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a happy new year, and I'm sure we'll do some sort of collaboration again at some point.
For sure, Ash. So it will be a pleasure to support, to collab with you, and I hope to have you in the YouTube channel also with some collaboration for us. We need to bring good content, and you are doing that very well.
Well, thank you very much. Likewise
Happy
as
New
well.
Year for everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.